Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed Shlita. Continuing our learning this week, please continue davening for Chayalei Tzva Haganah Yisrael, for Shalom Yisrael, and hopefully a complete return of our hostages for Kfuras Yisrael. Still awaiting some news. Let's hope that brings some families some closure to remaining hostages that are still being held. And by the time you hear this, let's hope that that situation is resolved. We learn each day Nishmat Daniel Shimon ben Harav Daron V'Sheli Hashem Yikav Demo. The next chapter, continuing where we left off yesterday, Halacha L'Maisa. What should we do about walking in front of somebody who's davening Shemoneh Esreh? So L'Chatchila Yeish L'Hachmer K'Divrei HaMagan Avraham. So ideally, one should follow the stricter opinion of the Magan Avraham, Shelo Leilach B'Chol Arba Amos Lefnei Mispalo, to not go in front of any of the range of someone who's davening Shemoneh Esreh, not just directly in front of him, but in the entire sort of visual range. And at a time of need, it's possible that one could be lenient like the Eliyah Rabbah. You can walk next to someone who's davening, just not directly in front of him. You can also stand directly ahead of him, not walk in front of them, but if you're passing, you have to stand directly in front of someone. That's also allowed. So in a case of need, where there's no other choice, you could even cross right in front of someone davening Shemoneh Esreh. So for example, let's say they need you for a minyan, and you have to get to that place, and the only way to get there is to walk in front of someone davening Shemoneh Esreh. You're allowed to. Let's say someone who has to go to a shir, or even deliver a shir of Torah. Let's say a Kohen has to go up and he has to duchen. And the only way he can get there is to cross in front of someone davening Shemoneh Esreh, then that would be allowed. Or let's say somebody's going to miss the train, miss the bus, miss his ride to work, wherever it is he has to go. Also, you can walk in front of someone who is davening Shemoneh Esreh. Let's say you're late to shul and you want to go to your regular spot. But by doing so, you would have to cross in front of somebody davening Shemoneh Esreh. That is not allowed because you were late to shul. But on the sides of the person davening Shemoneh Esreh, if they're davening individually, then you can rely on the opinion of the Eliyah Rabbah and go in front of them. But if you have to go in front of many people who are davening Shemoneh Esreh, then you shouldn't pass by, because it's almost certain that one will disturb the Shemoneh Esreh of certainly one of those people davening. So somebody who's, let's say, davening in the walkway, or in the hallway, or a place where you know that people are going to walk by. So this is not ideal to begin with, because you know that you're certainly going to be in the way of people that are coming and going if you're in the doorway. So you don't have to really pay attention to this. And then certainly one is allowed in time of need. You can walk in front of somebody davening Shemoneh Esreh. Again, generally the rule is we try to be polite, we try to sidestep, we try not to disturb somebody, but we don't like to put ourselves in a situation of having to disturb someone saying Shemoneh Esreh. But of course, if somebody puts themselves in that situation where they're davening Shemoneh Esreh where they shouldn't be, that is this. There are a lot of notes here, very, very long notes on this particular. I'm going to share with you, and I will know if people are really listening to this. One of my biggest pet peeves. People know my pet peeves. My wife disagrees with me on this, but I'm going to share with you my pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve, and I put up with a lot during davening, we could tolerate a lot, but I find that when, it's not just me, but anybody who's, let's say, getting up to speak and give a shiur, or the rabbi gives the sermon, if people decide at that moment to stand up and daven Shemoneh Esreh, I find that to be completely incorrect. Because, first of all, you should come on time and daven with everyone else. And if it's so important to daven, then you should step outside, and not while someone else is speaking. It's not Kavod Torah. It's not about me personally, but it's not Kavod Torah. But also, it's disturbing to people next to you. People are sitting down, and you're standing up, and you decide at that moment to daven Shemoneh Esreh. Some people don't necessarily notice it, but again, where I stand, given my position, I certainly notice it. And I don't know why, but it's a very, very big pet peeve of mine. And I just think that halachically, and also just from a point of view of manners, it's just incorrect and it's inappropriate. And if you have the opportunity to tell someone, and they ask you, well, I think you should just share my sentiments. Or not, that's really up to you. But Thank you for joining us. We continue davening for Chayei Tefillah May Israel, for Shlem B'chol Ketzvei Yisrael. Hopefully, return finally of our hostages. Look for us, Yisrael, Nishmat, Davening Shemoneh Esreh, Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Have a great day.